All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive that might just change how you think about animals.
Yeah, definitely.
Today, we're going to tackle something that seems pretty basic at first, just those essential needs that animals have.
Yeah.
But believe me, we're going to go way beyond just food and water and shelter. Get ready to discover how these needs have actually been intertwined with human history, shaped cultures all across the world,
Yeah,
and even impacted our own development as humans. Pretty crazy.
that's true.
And the source material for today's deep dive is, well, a fascinating excerpt that I think is going to really blow your mind.
Well, what's so fascinating about it is that this excerpt, it doesn't just, tell us what animals need.
Right.
It goes deep and explores how those needs have been intertwined with humanity, like since the very beginning.
Okay, I love those big picture connections. So we're talking about needs, but what kind of needs specifically? I mean, we all know animals have to eat, right?
Of course. But imagine this early humans. They didn't just decide randomly to keep certain animals around.
Right.
No, they picked those animals based on their ability to meet very specific human needs, primarily the need for food, a reliable food source.
Okay.
Think about it. Sheep provided wool and meat. Cows gave milk. Oxen were powerful for plowing fields.
Wow. So we're saying that the need for food actually started the whole process of animal domestication.
Exactly.
Which then led to agriculture and ultimately boom-settled societies.
That's right.
I never thought about it like that. That's a chain reaction.
It is. It's a domino effect that really changes the course of history for humans.
Yeah.
And then as societies grew and became more developed,
Right.
food, it wasn't just about survival anymore.
Yeah.
It actually got intertwined with all these cultural and religious practices.
It's true. Certain animals became, sacred in some cultures.
Right.
While others were completely off limits, taboo to eat.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how these different, dietary customs developed
Yeah.
all around the world, and each one unique to its own region and history.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to think how far we've come in understanding those needs.
Right.
I mean, think about the pet food industry today. It's all about tailoring nutrition to each species,
Right.
specific ages, even health conditions.
Wow.
It's a whole different world from just, tossing scraps to the dog.
All right, so you're telling me my dog's fancy organic salmon-flavored kibble is a direct result of thousands of years of humans understanding animal needs.
Exactly.
That's wild.
But, it also highlights that even though we've made such progress,
Yeah.
there's still a big problem with malnutrition for animals all over the world.
Right.
It's a reminder that those basic needs
Yeah.
might seem simple on the surface,
Yeah.
but they have some huge consequences.
It's definitely a lot more complex than I initially thought, and it sounds like we're just getting started.
Oh, we're just getting started. Let's move on to shelter, another one of those core needs, and it's shaped human development in some pretty unexpected ways.
Okay, so when we talk about shelter, we're talking about more than just, keeping the rain off.
That's right.
I'm thinking those elaborate stables they had for horses back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, those were practically palaces.
I know, right? And think about it. As humans started domesticating animals,
Yeah.
they had to provide shelter, not only for the animals themselves, but to protect their investment, right? So early humans started building barns, stables, all kinds of structures. And that innovation in building design,
Yeah.
it's directly tied to the need to shelter animals.
That's so interesting. It's wild to think that just something as essential as shelter for animals actually made humans develop new building techniques.
For sure.
And it's not just about the structures themselves, right? Different cultures developed totally unique approaches to shelter depending on their climate and what resources they had available, right?
Exactly. For nomadic cultures, portable shelters were essential.
Right.
But in colder climates, you needed thick insulation to protect those animals from the harsh winters.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you still see those adaptations today.
Yeah.
Think about those elaborate heated barns that you see in colder regions.
Right.
Compared to the open-air shelters in warmer climates, it's totally different.
It's like a global architectural showcase inspired by animal needs.
I like that, yeah.
And that brings us to our pets today. We put a lot of thought into picking the right kind of housing for them, whether it's a crate for a dog or a climate-controlled terrarium for a lizard.
And it matters, Adequate shelter can literally be the difference between life and death for an animal.
Yeah.
Think about the impact of extreme weather, heat stroke, hypothermia.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then there's the danger of predators, especially for young animals.
No, it's true.
Or vulnerable animals.
It's easy to forget how vulnerable they are out there in the elements.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered food and shelter. What other essential needs are we going to dive into?
Well, we all need to recharge, right?
Yeah.
Even animals. Sleep is a universal need no matter what species you're talking about.
You don't have to tell me twice I'm all about a good night's sleep.
Me too.
But seriously, how much variation can there be in sleep needs across, the whole animal kingdom?
Well, it can be pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Sleep schedules can vary a lot.
Yeah.
Based on species.
Okay.
Natural rhythms.
Yeah.
Even the environment.
Interesting.
And if we're talking about domesticated animals,
right,
well, their routines are often kind of dictated by our schedules, which isn't always ideal for them.
That's a good point. I know when I don't get enough sleep, I'm a total grump.
Same here.
I can only imagine how sleep deprivation affects animals.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
You're right to think it's important. It can impact everything, their stress levels,
right,
immune systems, even their behavior.
Right, just like us.
Exactly. Animals need that rest to function properly.
Okay, so we've got food, shelter, sleep. It feels like we're building a foundation here.
Yeah, we are.
What's next on our list of essential animal needs?
Let's talk about feeling safe. And I don't just mean physical safety, although that's super important, of course.
Yeah.
The source material we're looking at, it actually breaks down this need for safety and security into two main parts.
Okay.
Freedom from fear and distress and protection from harm.
Wow, it's really profound when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it connects to all those discussions we have about animal welfare, right? It's not just about making sure they survive.
Right.
It's about building an environment where they can really thrive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that awareness of humane treatment.
Right.
Of considering an animal's emotional well-being. It's something that's really evolved over time.
It really has.
It makes you wonder, what the future holds for our understanding of animal needs.
That's a big question, right?
It is.
Will we keep, pushing those boundaries of what it means to treat animals ethically? But for now, let's bring it back to our everyday lives. What does this need for safety and security actually look like for our pets?
Think about it this way. Our pets, they rely on us to create that stable and predictable environment for them.
Okay.
They need to feel safe, not just from physical harm,
right,
but also from things that could, cause them fear or distress.
So avoiding things like loud noises, sudden movements, anything that could make them anxious.
Exactly.
Basically just being mindful of their sensitivities.
And it's more than just the environment.
Yeah.
Safe handling is crucial, especially for smaller or more delicate animals.
Of course.
We have to remember that fear and distress, it can have a domino effect.
Oh, wow.
Lead to chronic stress and even, physical problems down the line.
So it's not just about preventing immediate harm.
Right.
It's about considering how our actions impact their emotional well-being in the long run.
Absolutely.
It's a lot more than just giving them a pat on the head.
It is. It really is. And speaking of complexity, let's move on to a need that's, absolutely crucial for certain animals, but might not be as obvious.
Yeah.
Social connection.
Ooh, okay. Now we're getting into something interesting. Well, I know my dog loves to play with other pups at the park. And my cat, well, he's a little more aloof, but he definitely enjoys a good head scratch from his humans.
Of course. Think about it this way. Domestication, which started, thousands of years ago.
Right.
It actually forged those really strong bonds between us and animals. And those bonds weren't just practical, they became emotional.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dogs and cats especially have become a huge part of our lives.
Right.
Not just working animals, but companions. Yeah. Members of the family.
Exactly. And, those relationships, they vary across cultures.
Of course.
In some places, animals are seen as sacred beings.
Yeah.
In others, they're mainly seen as a food source or, for labor.
Right.
But regardless of the specific culture, the need for connection, for interaction, whether it's with their own kind or with humans, it's just deeply ingrained in so many species.
So we're not just talking about pets here. This applies to social animals in the wild too, right?
Absolutely. Think about wolf packs, herds of elephants, flocks of birds, social structures, hierarchies.
Right.
Even complex communication systems have evolved over, millions of years to meet those social needs.
That's incredible. It's like we're getting a glimpse into this whole other layer of the animal kingdom.
I know.
This world of social interactions and relationships that's usually hidden from us.
Exactly. And understanding those dynamics is super crucial for making sure animals are doing well, whether we're talking about a pride of lions in the wild or a multi-pet household.
So it's more than just giving them food and shelter.
Right.
It's about understanding their social needs.
Yeah.
Creating environments where they can thrive in those social settings.
Precisely. Think about it. A dog that's always isolated might start having behavioral problems.
Right.
A cat that's forced to live in a really stressful, crowded shelter might become withdrawn and depressed.
Oh, of course.
Meeting those social needs is essential for their well-being.
Okay, so we've covered food, shelter, sleep, safety, and social connection. I feel like we're really getting this comprehensive picture of what animals need to really thrive. But there's one more category that you mentioned, and I'm super intrigued by this one. Behavioral needs. What does that even mean?
Ah, yes, behavioral needs. This one goes beyond just staying alive. It's about letting animals do the things that are, hardwired into their species.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So, my dog, he loves to dig holes in the backyard, and my cat goes crazy for chasing laser pointers. Are those examples of behavioral needs?
That's a perfect example.
Okay.
It's all about giving them outlets for those natural instincts.
Okay.
Think about toys we give our pets. Enrichment programs they have at zoos for the animals.
Right.
Even, conservation efforts to protect habitats for wild animals so they can roam free and forage like they're supposed to.
So it's about letting their instincts, shine. Giving them the space and the chance to be themselves.
Yeah.
To express those behaviors that are just part of who they are.
Exactly. It's about creating environments that let those behaviors flourish. Right. And it goes beyond just physical activity, too.
Oh, really?
Mental stimulation is a huge part of this.
Okay.
Just like us, animals need challenges and activities that engage their minds.
Oh, so puzzle toys for my dog.
Yeah.
Maybe a climbing structure for my cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Things that make them think and problem solve.
Precisely. Mental stimulation is super important.
Okay.
For preventing boredom and even cognitive decline, especially as they get older.
Right, of course.
And we got to remember that restricting those needs, those behavioral needs, it can have some pretty serious consequences.
What happens when an animal can't, express its natural behaviors?
Think about it. If an animal is always stopped from digging, climbing, exploring, it can lead to frustration.
Right.
Apathy.
Wow.
Even depression.
Yeah.
They can develop bad habits or become really withdrawn and listless.
Oh, that's sad. So it's about way more than just their physical needs. We have to think about their emotional and psychological well-being, too.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding those behavioral needs is so important.
Yeah.
It helps us create environments where they can really thrive.
Right.
Physically and mentally.
This is fascinating. There's so much depth to this idea of animal needs. We've covered so much, from basic food and shelter to the intricacies of social interaction and behavioral expression. But there's one more piece of this puzzle I really want to explore. How have animal needs shaped us, as humans?
Ah, yes, that's where everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
The source material has some really amazing examples of how that relationship between humans and animals has influenced our development.
Okay.
In so many ways throughout history and across different cultures.
Okay, I'm ready. Where do we even begin?
How about the most obvious one? Agriculture.
Okay. Yeah.
Animals have been the foundation of agriculture forever, providing food, labor, even fertilizer.
Right.
Think about it. Without animals, human civilization as we know it wouldn't even exist.
It really makes you realize how much we rely on animals for our survival.
It does. And then there's transportation.
Oh, yeah.
Think about horses, camels, oxen. They allowed us to explore, to trade, to spread ideas and cultures across huge distances. They literally carried us into the future.
That's such a powerful image. And what about animals in medicine?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big one. From research to developing new treatments, animals have been essential in advancing medical science.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a really complex issue, no easy answers, but their contribution is undeniable.
Okay, so from food and transportation to medical advancements, animals have impacted our physical well-being in huge ways.
They have.
But what about our mental and emotional well-being?
That's where the human-animal bond comes in.
Right.
Think about the fields of psychology, the connection we have with animals. It's been shown to have such positive effects on our mental health and well-being.
I can definitely attest to that. My dog's like my furry therapist.
I get it.
Just spending time with him, it lowers my stress, makes me feel happier. And speaking of happy, look at the pet industry.
It's huge.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
It just shows how much we value our animal companions.
And it goes beyond just pets, too.
Right.
Think about all the roles animals play in society.
Right.
Service animals, therapy animals, emotional sport companions.
It's true.
They enrich our lives in ways we're only beginning to understand.
It's incredible how animals touch so many parts of our lives.
It really is.
From practical help to emotional support, they truly make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just in the here and now. Animals have also played a huge role in our spiritual beliefs.
Absolutely. For centuries, animals have been woven into human spirituality.
Right.
You see them in myths, legends, religious texts, and rituals all over the world.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about that connection we feel with the animal kingdom, a connection that just goes beyond time and culture.
Yeah.
It's like this innate sense of kinship that draws us to them, recognizing that we're all part of this web of life.
And don't forget about art and literature.
Oh, right.
From ancient cave paintings to modern novels. Animals have been such a constant source of inspiration for artists and writers throughout history.
It's amazing to think about all the stories, myths, fables, works of art that feature animals as, main characters, villains, symbols, metaphors. Yeah. It's like they hold up a mirror to our own humanity, reflecting our hopes, fears, dreams, desires.
You're right. Animals have a way of tapping into our imaginations, sparking our creativity, and helping us make sense of the world around us.
Yeah.
They're not just creatures we share the planet with.
Right.
They're companions, they're muses, teachers, and a source of endless fascination.
Wow. I think it's safe to say we've gone from the most basic need for survival, food, to exploring how animals inspire our creativity and shape our spiritual beliefs.
It's true.
It's amazing to see how interconnected it all is.
It really highlights how animal needs are not just about, staying alive.
Right.
It's about their well-being and how that's intertwined with our own history, culture, and even our well-being.
It's funny. I started this deep dive thinking we'd be talking mostly about pets, but it's turned into something so much bigger.
I know, right?
It's like we've zoomed out and we're seeing this bigger picture, this grand tapestry of life on Earth, and animals are woven into every thread of it.
That's the beauty of exploring these fundamental needs.
Yeah.
It connects us to the whole animal kingdom across time and cultures.
Right.
It's a reminder that we're all part of this intricate web of life, interconnected in ways we're only starting to understand.
And understanding those needs, whether we're talking about, a pet goldfish or a wild elephant.
It can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And lead to more compassionate choices and actions.
Right. It's about recognizing that every living creature has value and respecting their right to thrive.
Absolutely. So what stands out to you the most from what we've talked about so far? What sparked your curiosity?
Honestly, it's that idea of behavioral needs. It's something I've always kind of felt as a pet owner, like knowing that my dog needs to run and play.
Right.
My cat needs to climb and scratch, but I never thought about it as a fundamental need,
Yeah.
Like on the same level as food or shelter.
That's true.
It makes me wonder, how many other subtle needs we're missing,
Yeah.
in our pets and in, the whole animal kingdom.
That's a fascinating thought. And as we become more aware of those needs,
Yeah.
we can create environments that are really enriching for them, whether they're in our homes, in zoos, or in the wild.
Right.
It's about going beyond just providing the basics and creating spaces where they can truly flourish.
And that's where things get really interesting, right? It's not just about providing the basics anymore. It's about going above and beyond to create these environments that really allow animals to thrive.
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Coming up with creative solutions.
Exactly. It's about constantly learning and adapting, being open to new ideas.
Right.
And always trying to find ways to make their lives better.
It's like we're on a journey of discovery.
It is.
Uncovering the secrets of the animal kingdom and learning how to be better stewards of their well-being. And it never really ends.
No, it doesn't.
There's always more to learn,
Yeah.
more to explore, and more ways to make a difference.
Absolutely. The animal kingdom is full of mysteries just waiting to be discovered. And the more we learn, the more we appreciate just how diverse and complex life on Earth really is.
It's amazing.
And who knows, maybe some of those discoveries will come from you, our listeners.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You might be the one to make the next big breakthrough, shed light on a new species, or uncover a hidden part of animal behavior.
That's exciting. So to our listeners, stay curious.
Yeah.
Stay engaged.
Keep learning.
And keep diving deep into the world around you.
You never know what you might find.
You never know what amazing insights you might uncover.
And on that note, let's take a short break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll explore some practical ways to apply all of this knowledge in your own life.
Awesome. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we spent that first part of our deep dive, really understanding those core needs that animals have.
Yeah.
But I feel like we only just started to explore what all that really means.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's one thing to understand these needs, theoretically.
Right.
But it's another thing completely to think about, well, how do we actually put that knowledge into action?
Exactly. So for everyone listening out there, let's bring this deep dive back down to earth a little bit. What are some things we can do in our own lives, like concrete steps we can take to actually make a difference for animals based on all this stuff we've learned?
Well, sometimes the most simple actions can have the biggest impact,
Right.
Like, for example, being more aware of where our food comes from.
Okay, yeah.
And, choosing to buy food from sources that actually prioritize animal welfare. That's a great starting point.
Yeah, it's not always easy, but I think making that effort to choose, food from sources that are doing things the right way, it can make a big difference.
It really can.
Whether it's, looking for pasture-raised eggs or supporting farms that, have humane treatment practices.
Right.
Or even just, trying to reduce our overall meat consumption. All those little choices, they add up. They send a message.
Absolutely. They say vote with your wallet.
Right.
And that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Those choices can really have a ripple effect throughout the entire food industry.
I like that. Okay, so beyond food, what other everyday things can we do?
Well, think about the products you buy, supporting companies that are committed to being cruelty-free.
Okay.
Whether that's, cosmetics or clothes or even household products.
Right.
That's another really powerful way to use your voice.
That's a really good point. Sometimes it's just about, doing a little research and making those informed choices about where we spend our money. What about taking direct action, like volunteering at an animal shelter?
Yes.
Or donating to organizations that are really working on the front lines of, animal welfare?
Those are fantastic options.
Yeah.
Shelters are always looking for people to help out.
Right.
Walk dogs, socialize cats, provide care for all those animals waiting for their forever homes.
Yeah.
And donating to organizations that are working to protect endangered species, fight animal cruelty, promote humane education. I mean, that can have a huge impact.
I love those ideas. It's about finding, what speaks to you, what you're passionate about.
Right.
And then taking action. And it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture.
No, not at all.
Even those small actions, when you do them consistently, they can really contribute to positive change.
Exactly. Even something as simple as creating a bird-friendly habitat in your backyard.
Oh, that's nice.
Providing a safe space for wildlife.
Yeah.
Or choosing to adopt a pet from a shelter instead of buying from a breeder.
Right.
Those are all great examples.
Those are great examples. I think sometimes people can get overwhelmed, thinking about the big challenges facing animals today.
Yeah.
Like habitat loss, climate change, exploitation. And they might feel like, oh, my little actions won't really make a difference.
Right.
But every little bit helps, right?
You're absolutely right. It's easy to feel powerless when you think about those huge global issues.
Yeah.
But the truth is, everything we do, every choice we make, it sends a ripple out into the world. And when we all do it together, those ripples, they create a wave of change.
I love that analogy. And, it's not just about the actions we take. It's also about educating ourselves, spreading awareness.
That's so important.
Yeah.
The more we learn about animal needs, animal behavior, the challenges they're up against,
Right.
the better we're equipped to advocate for them, to make good choices, and to inspire others to do the same.
So read books, watch documentaries, have conversations with your friends and family, share what you've learned on social media. Like, all those things can really help shift people's perspective and create a more compassionate world for animals.
Exactly. It's about planting those seeds of awareness, nurturing them with knowledge, and watching them grow into a real force for positive change.
I like that, as we're talking about all this, I'm thinking about how much our understanding of animals has changed over time.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It is.
We're constantly making new discoveries, challenging old beliefs, and pushing the boundaries of what we thought we knew about the animal world.
And as we learn more, it makes us rethink our own relationship with animals, to question the way we do things, and to consider like the ethics of our actions.
It's a journey of continuous learning and growth, both for us and for our relationship with the natural world. We're coming to realize that animals aren't just resources to be used. They're living beings with complex needs, emotions, even intelligence.
It's true. And that understanding, it's changing everything. From the way we design zoos, to how we manage wildlife, to the way we interact with our pets, to the choices we make as consumers.
It's a paradigm shift, a total change in how we think about living in harmony with the animal kingdom.
It's exciting to imagine where this journey will take us in the future. What new things will we discover? What insights will we gain? And how will those change our world?
Oh, that's a question that sparks so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where animals are not just tolerated, but truly valued, where their needs are not just met, but exceeded, and where we treat them with respect and understanding.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is.
And it's one that we can all help create.
Starting today.
Yeah.
With the choices we make, the actions we take, and, speaking up for a more compassionate world.
And that's what makes all of this so rewarding, right? It's not just about learning new things. It's about using that knowledge to make the world better for all creatures, big and small. It's about realizing we're all connected and that our actions have a ripple effect that goes way beyond just ourselves.
That's a great message to leave our listeners with.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to encourage you to keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep learning.
Keep asking questions.
And keep those aha moments coming. The animal kingdom is full of wonder, mystery, and inspiration. And the more we learn, the more we realize just how much we still have to discover. As we wrap up this incredible deep dive into animal needs, I'm feeling a sense of awe and a renewed appreciation for those intricate connections that link all life on this planet.
I completely agree. It's been an amazing journey, right? We've talked about everything from those basic survival needs to how animals have actually shaped human history and culture and even our own well-being.
It's remarkable to think about everything we've uncovered and learned, and yet it feels like we've only scratched the surface of this vast and complex topic.
That's what's so incredible about this whole thing. The more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is out there to discover. The animal kingdom is filled with mysteries just waiting to be solved, and each new generation of scientists, researchers, and advocates brings fresh perspectives and insights to the table.
It's like we're constantly peeling back the layers of an onion, discovering new depths and complexities with each revelation.
Exactly, and that's what keeps this field so exciting. It's a vibrant and constantly evolving world of knowledge, always being enriched with new understandings.
I'm curious, what areas do you see as having the most potential for those groundbreaking discoveries in the future? What mysteries are you most eager to see unraveled?
One area that I find super fascinating is animal cognition. We're just starting to understand the true depth of animal intelligence, their abilities to problem solve, communicate, and even their emotional depth.
I've been watching some incredible documentaries lately about that. Animal intelligence, seeing things like crows using tools.
Wow.
Dolphins communicating with each other through these intricate vocalizations, and elephants grieving when they lose loved ones.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is.
And as we delve deeper into these areas, we're really challenged to reconsider our own assumptions about animal consciousness and how our interactions with them should be from an ethical standpoint.
You're so right. It makes you think about how future generations will look back on our practices, whether it's factory farming or animal testing, or even just how we train and manage animals in captivity.
It's definitely a humbling thought, and it highlights how important it is to stay open to new information, to question what we think we know, and to always be striving to do better by the animals we share this planet with.
I think that's a key takeaway from this whole deep dive, that learning should be a lifelong journey. We should never stop questioning, exploring, and seeking that deeper understanding of the animal kingdom.
And we can't forget the power of individual actions. Every choice we make, from the food we buy to how we treat our pets, has the potential to have a positive impact.
It's about recognizing that interconnectedness, understanding that the well-being of animals is totally tied to our own well-being, and the future of life on this planet relies on our collective commitment to compassion, respect, and responsible stewardship.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
So beautifully said. And to all of our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep that spark of curiosity burning bright, to never stop asking questions, and to always look for opportunities to learn, to connect with nature, and to speak up for a world that's more compassionate for all living things.
The animal kingdom is truly an endless source of fascination, inspiration, and wonder, and that journey of discovery is one we can all be a part of.
I love that. Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this incredible world of animal needs with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those aha moments coming.
This is DigitView.